Good evening, everyone. This is Dr. Lewis Tait. Welcome to Tuesday Spark. Hope that you've had a good day on this 20th day of April. We know it's been a pretty packed day, a lot of things going on. And so I pray that you have at least found some way to enjoy this day in the midst of all the things that we are experiencing in our country and in this world. And so, what I want you to do as you're coming on, one of the things I want to encourage you to do is to subscribe to our YouTube page. I ask you to do that, to subscribe, and that's would be one of the things that you can do is to subscribe and be a part of our broadcast, and so you can be the first one to know and get alerted when we are doing something, when we're coming on the air. So I want you to take an opportunity, particularly perhaps after the show or during the show, to view to view Tuesday Spark through our YouTube channel. It's on the Village YouTube channel currently, but you can go there to experience it and be a part of it. And so I want to encourage you to do that. And also, while you're jumping on tonight, I want you to remember that Tuesday Spark, it's about information and inspiration, insight. And listen, I'm not trying to tell you what to think. I'm just trying to get you to think. And so it only takes a spark to light a fire. So let's spark it up. So I want to talk to you tonight, of course, about what has just transpired. So I want to give you an opportunity to jump on, to invite some people. And if you if you're on Facebook, you go down to the bottom of your page and you can absolutely invite people to join us right now on our live broadcast. And you could take a moment to do that, to invite people to join us right now. We're on live and they can jump on. You also can invite them by going down to the bottom of your page and pushing share, and then you can share to wherever you want. You can share to the messenger. You could share to a lot of different places. So we ask you to do that. Take the opportunity to do that. Good to see you, Kelly. And so I want y'all to take the opportunity to do that now. Just jump on and invite some people to join us. Go down to the bottom of your page, as I said earlier, and invite some people to join us tonight. We won't be on long, but you don't want to miss what we have to share. So I want to give you the opportunity to do that. And also want you to subscribe to our YouTube page. That's the Village YouTube page. So you could be the first to know when something happens and be involved in what we're doing here on Tuesday Spark. All right. I'm Dr. Tait, your host. And so I'm glad you're here with us. And tonight I want to spark it up with what does the verdict mean going forward? This, George Floyd, and the verdict is come in, and so what does that mean? Mr. Chauvin has been he is the verdict is in. He's arrested. He's not eligible for bail or any of that. And so what does this mean? There are people who are perhaps are cheering, and rightfully so, time of celebration. But what else? After all of this, what does it mean going forward? He's in handcuffs, which George Floyd could be alive today if he just would have taken him away and handcuffed him or given him some kind of justice. And so, what does this actually mean today in terms of this verdict? How do we process this? How are you processing this? And the thing is, at times we get very jubilant, and we should when these things happen, and we're sort of in a celebratory state. But then, actually, what does it actually mean? All of it mean in terms as we go forward. And one of the things I saw this quote today, and I just want to read it to you because I thought it was like very interesting. The quote that sort of came forward, and it's like prosecutors. And the quote was simply that prosecutors were under considerable pressure from activists and politicians to win a murder conviction in the case, even though such verdicts against police officers are rare. That's an interesting statement because, on one hand, I understand, the statement is being said that this hardly ever happens. But when you say they are under pressure, they shouldn't be under pressure if justice was supposed to be this symbol of Lady Justice being blind and, rendering cases that meet a certain kind of criteria. In this one, I mean, how can you miss this case when it was televised? It's right in front of your eyes. But it goes to show you. And I guess what disturbs me is how when African Americans are sort of in the justice system, we have to much go overboard. They have to be the perfect victim, as my good friend and colleague and co-author Dr. Chris Van Gorder, who's a professor down at Baylor, would often say. He has to be a perfect victim. It's like Rosa Parks. There was a lady who came before her, and there were many other ladies, perhaps, and other people who ran into the same situation riding on the buses in Montgomery and were treated unfairly. But Rosa Parks was a perfect victim. She had no priors. She was just didn't have a lot of issues with her background, and that's really telling on the justice system, if you ask me. If you have to be a perfect victim in order to get justice, which tells you that really we have a justice system that does not work for everybody, and particularly it does not work for African American people. Listen, if you're tuning in tonight, I definitely would love to hear your comments around. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you sensing about this verdict? What are you what what is your sense? Do you feel relieved? Do you feel jovial? Do you feel like justice was served? What is it that you are actually sensing and that you are feeling? And so you can put that down on the comment line and let me know. What you're thinking tonight, what you're feeling. I think there's many feelings running throughout the community. And of course, Derek Chauvin, who's the police officer who actually killed George Floyd and murdered him, and some people say it was a modern day lynching. Um, he was guilty on all three accounts, and we know Dante Wright was also killed by a police officer in the suburbs of the Brooklyn Center. And so, what I say is, this it definitely is a time to certainly celebrate, but it's also for me a time to really reflect because there are many African Americans in particular and persons who are marginalized who have been victimized by the police departments all over this country for many years, and their stories will not be told. We will not hear of their stories. But with the invention of telephones with cameras, we call cell phones, now we're able to capture these incidents in body cameras. But even with body cameras, we know a lot of times they can be turned off, or the film from those body cameras can be manipulated and redacted before the public ever gets to see them. So this is a moment, I think, to really celebrate and thank Ella Jackie and anybody else. If you're here, you listen to me tonight, I'd love to hear your comments and your thoughts about what you think, what you feel. Here's your opportunity to kind of share with my audience and just share your thoughts. It could be brief. You go down to the comment section. If you're on Facebook, if you're on YouTube, you can do stuff there too. But this is it's like Ella Jackie. It's like a teardrop in the ocean. It's a sigh of relief that the cop was convicted, and yet and still we have more work to do. I think her comment is worth sharing again, And it is. We have this moment of celebration. We have this moment where many are relieved that this has happened, um, but it's rare that a police officer, particularly in the murder of an African American person, a black person, that's found guilty. And there's something wrong with that, because when you do wrong, you should have to pay for what you've done. And of course, we understand mercy and all of that. But when you kill somebody needlessly, when you didn't have to, whether you're a police officer or a civilian or somebody who's wealthy, you need to be able to have to pay for that. That's how society functions. And when the laws are uneven and unjust, and there are just countless numbers of black people, African American people, who never got justice, their families. Just read about a police officer in Buffalo, a lady officer who stopped another officer from using excessive force about 15 years ago. And she was fired, but she finally got justice after 15 years to get all of her back pay and all of her, compensation. But 15 years, you think about the toll that has had on her life, her emotions, the things that she had to do. For 15 years, she's had to fight in the countless number of hours and just all that goes into that. And so I hope that you take the opportunity tonight to just reflect, because I just asked a simple question: what does this mean going forward? So I think we have to reflect, but I think there's so much work that needs to happen in terms of holding police departments accountable. And when the notion of defunding the police is mentioned, it is not, and it's not what the media or people who want you to think that it's something mean and ugly. It is really reallocating the funds that we spend on police. It's not saying that we don't have a police department, but for example, I just always use Washington D.C. because I live here. But we spend over $600 million a year in police, and every day there's always a killing, a shooting. I'm not blaming them for all of the killings and the shootings, but obviously having more police and spending that amount of money is not making people safe. So when you talk about defunding, it's reallocating funds so that you use those funds instead of just on police. Let's say if you spend 300 million versus 600, do you take that other 300 million and you hire social workers and counselors? And you have clinics in neighborhoods. They should be free clinics. People say, where you get the money from? The same way you got the money to fund the police department at $600 million. People always ask where you get the money from, except when it comes to the military of the United States. We spend $800 billion on the military or more, but no one ever asks the question when we go into war, where's the money coming from? We just find it, we do it. But when it comes to helping people, particularly people who are non-white and even poor white, sometimes they don't have the sense to understand that they are poor and they vote against their own best interests, but things that are really needed to people to help their lives better as a society. What does it say about us? And so I think as we reflect on tonight in this verdict, yes, it is well overdue, over time, and we're grateful for this verdict. But there's so much work to do to better the Justice Department, to reallocate funds of the police departments across the board. And there has to be some federal legislation, because there are too many different rules and different things for different police departments. And they all should sort of play under the same kind of set of rules. And if we're going to be a country, the United States of America, we've got to stop acting as if each individual state can do all these different things and start to function as a whole, as a society. And so, and that's just my challenge. Maybe you think something different, but I don't know if spending more money on police is going to make us safer or make our communities better, when there are a lot of other kinds of issues that need resources, and people to really help to address those. There's a lot of mental health problems in all of our communities across America. There's a need to really do an in-depth study on white supremacy. I mean, why is it that a group of people think that they're superior to other people? And to learn from places like Germany, to learn from folks who have done various things, like in the Congo, um, Leopold, to learn, from feature films like Exterminate All the Brutes, to learn where's this come from? Why are we not dealing with the root causes of white supremacy and studying it so that then it can be dealt with from a psychological and perspective and a deep rooted sort of learned behavior that can be unlearned. And so these are the things that I think that we could be spending money on, and it's important that we do that. So that's all I want you to think about tonight, and in terms of what does this verdict mean going forward. Take the opportunity to think about that. Now, listen, if you want to know more about me or what we do at the Village, you can go to our website, which is thevillagedc.church, and that's thevillagedc.church. And you can get all the information about our upcoming announcements and all the other things that we are doing. And I want to thank you again for your support of the Village and support of Tuesday Spark, and whatever your gift you want to give, you can certainly do that and help to support what we do out in the community. Your support is always needed and is always appreciated. So, whatever amount of support you want to offer, you can do that through GiveLify or through Cash App to support our efforts. And today we even had a meeting out in the community just to deal with housing. So you can do that. Go to the website, and you want to support us, you can do that. Again, this is Dr. Lewis Tait, and this was Tuesday Spark. Thank you again for joining me. Have a wonderful and blessed evening.